Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatītam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatītam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasishtha Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha, Section 81, Kundalini Shakti and the cessation of diseases. As we recall, the story of Shikhidvaja, King Shikhidvaja, who became a great king even from the early age. He married Chudala. He was skilled in theoretical knowledge of the Vedas. Great Pandit. And Chudala was skilled in artistic knowledge. And Chudala was advanced. She possessed purity of heart. So both studied Vedanta under Guru. Chudala attained enlightenment, but Shikhidvaja stayed theoretical. And when Chudala expressed her experience of enlightenment, Shikhidvaja simply laughed, knowing that he was not deserving at this stage. Chudala kept to herself and, led by her prarabdha, she decided to have knowledge of psychic powers, not only knowledge, but experience by practicing Kundalini Yoga. The idea is, enlightened sage has already attained all that is to be attained. Why should she pursue the path of siddhi and riddhi, major and minor siddhis? But the fact is that enlightened sage utilizes his personality. Personality is led by karma. So as long as personality, human body exists, the enlightened sage will utilize his life, his personality, for disseminating spiritual knowledge. It's called Jnana Yajna. And for that sake, will be very interested to gain all that is needed to be gained. If enlightened sage is brought into France or Spain, now he must learn Spanish. Spanish language will not just flow through his tongue. So similarly, Chudala decided to practice Kundalini Yoga. And at this stage, Sri Rama asked, for gaining insight into Kundalini awakening. And Sage Vasishtha is giving these teachings. Sage Vasishtha continues to explain the secrets of pranic energy which form the basis for attaining psychic powers. It is really the divine consciousness that's called Kundalini Shakti. It's allegorical presentation of Shakti and Shiva. Shiva is Purusha, Brahman. Shakti is Prakriti. That Prakriti plays the role of Kundalini in every individual and is studied in relation to your spinal column. Just to remind you, there are chakras, Muladhara chakra, basal center, Swadhisthana a little above, at navel, Manipur chakra, at the heart level, Anahat chakra, at the throat level, Udan, Vishuddhi chakra, and between the eyebrows, Agnya chakra, and the top of the head, Sahasrara chakra. Kundalini plays the role of a barometric study of where you are. If Kundalini is awakened to Manipur chakra, your Kriya Shakti has been awakened. But simply by practicing Kundalini, you will not awaken your Kriya Shakti. You have to have practice of integral yoga in daily life. Your sadhana must continue along with your meditation on the chakra. If you simply meditate on the chakra, not doing anything else, that will not lead you to anywhere. In the case of Chudala, she has no difficulty. This Kundalini Shakti becomes apana and moves downwards in human system. Prana and apana, these are two aspects of vital forces. Prana is a main respiratory system in your lungs, but respiratory system that brings in oxygen. Apana that expels carbon dioxide. Any expelling function within your body is led by apana. Of 5 pranas, prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana, prana and apana, they play the major role. It becomes the form of, it assumes the form of samana and exists between the influences of prana and apana. Udana flows upwards, while vyana courses through the entire body. All these are manifestations of Kundalini Shakti. If the pranas do not function in harmony, the life principle cannot exist within the body. Human life is sustained by the balanced functions of the pranas. So as I was explaining, at navel center is Kriya Shakti. At your heart center is Ichha Shakti. At your Agnya chakra is Jnana Shakti. So as Kundalini is awakened, these Shaktis are awakened, and they go on leading you to ascending heights of wisdom. By controlling the functions of prana and apana, one gains control over samana. Samana is at the navel center. Samana means that which balances all the energies in your personality. With increasing control over samana, all the pranas are controlled. Therefore, a yogi is able to render the body immune to diseases. He can even conquer death. All this detail is being given to you. What is meant by this statement about disease? 100 nadis arise from the heart. Now these pranas flow through channels. Those channels are subtle channels, they are called nadis. They are not physical. They are in the subtle body. They have corresponding aspect in physical body. But in their deeper level, they are subtle. And heart center is the nucleus, is the center of countless pranas. There are countless nadis radiate from the heart. And pranic energy flows through them throughout the entire body. When the pranas move throughout the entire body, when the minor nadis are unable to perform their functions in a healthy manner, food is not assimilated properly. This gives rise to various diseases, and more insight into this is being given. Sri Rama asked, O sage, whence do the diseases of the body and mind arise? And how are they cured? Please explain this to me fully. And Sri Vasishtha gives insight into very profound topic of what is health, what is the disease. Health is called swasthya. Swa is the self. Swa is what is your self, not your ego. Your self is Brahman, the absolute. Tha means to abide in Brahman, to be rooted in Brahman. To be swasthya, swasth means to have stita prajna state, enlightened state. That's real health. And the root disease is called Mula Adhi. Mula Adhi is ignorance. That's your real disease. As long as ignorance dominates your mind, you are dominated by mortality virus. In spite of this terrible virus, million times greater terror is in mortality virus. And jnana is the antidote. So, root disease is mool adhi, ignorance, which gives rise to mental disease. imbalance in your mind. All gross impurities that get into your mind are symptoms of mental disease. Just like physically you suffer from headache, dyspepsia, and many other things. Similarly, your mental body suffers from these diseases: anger, hate, greed. It's called adhi. And adhi gives rise to vyadhi, mental disbalance, mental disease brings about imbalance in your three humors. Not humorous matter. Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vata is gaseous problem, rheumatic problem. Kapha is phlegmatic, mucus and phlegm, and that type of problem is second humor called Kapha. Vata, Kapha. Pitta is biliousness. These are three doshas according to Ayurveda. They always study. First thing they want to know how these three doshas are operating in a person. If the person is dominated by vata, or if he is dominated by phlegm, kapha, or by bilious, acidity. And the subtle influence of mind on the body has to be well understood. If your mind entertains positive thought, if positivity enters your mind, imbalance or disbalance of the three humors give rise to many physical diseases. So, mool adhi, ignorance, gives rise to mental disease called adhi. Anger, hatred, pride, and manifold mental complexes are expressions of adhi, mental disease. These mental diseases disturb the balance of the pranas. Some nadis perform their functions excessively. Some do not perform their functions at all. Thus, there is imbalance in the assimilation and distribution of food in the body. Same food you eat, but with a mind that is in a state of negativity. You don't draw all the nutrition that the food is meant to give you. And the same food creates imbalance in your body. Thus, there is imbalance in the assimilation and distribution of food in the body. This gives rise to physical diseases called vyadhi. So this is a sequence. And physical disease called vyadhi. Vyadhi, V means vishesh, a special disease, more extended disease, physical disease. Knowledge of the self destroys the root disease, mool adhi. Jnana is the remedy for cutting down all diseases from their root. And the root disease is mool adhi. Atma Gyan removes this, remedies this disease. When Mool Adhi is removed, then mental disease is also cured. With the cure of all mental diseases, physical disease is also overcome. Physical disease is not literally cured, because physical body itself is an expression of bhava vyadhi, the disease of the world process. So, and as long as you live with body, body will have its own limitations. Also remember, a sage lives his physical life backed up by prarabdha karma. Only in the difference that while he is experiencing the fruit of prarabdha, he is not creating new karmas. He is simply exhausting karma. And prarabdha karma operates on ichha prarabdha, ichha prarabdha, parecha prarabdha. Anicca, you can get headache. You can get even cancer. Sages have gotten that. Diabetes and all types of diseases. You can catch the virus. So that's called anicca prarabdha. Parecha, swecha, things that you figure out through your own mind how to help people, how to promote well-being of others, and things operate in a presenting convenient atmosphere for your project. Then called swecha prarabdha. And parecha, you have no plans, but your associates, disciples, they come with a plan, and you like it. Knowledge of the self destroys the root disease, Mool Adhi. Then Adhi, mental disease, is also cured. With the cure of all mental disease, physical disease is also overcome. Adhi and Vyadhi are cured when the root disease is removed. O Rama, Kundalini is like a flower that sustains the fragrance of the subtle body of each individual. Therefore, by awakening Kundalini Shakti, one is able to unfold the latent powers of the mind. A yogi practices puraka, inhalation, and concentrates the pranic energy in the kurma nadi at the heart center. As a result of this practice, the body becomes as steady as Mount Meru. That's the ideal behind the practice of pranayama. Pranayama starts with the nose, but nose is not the ideal. The ideal is how it is leading your vital energy to be harmonized and thereby promoting mental strength. So, Along with pranayama exercises, yogis focus their attention on these points. While you are breathing in, feel that you are being supported by the divine. With mantra, mental recitation of mantra, practice all the three stages. Breathing in, if you are Ram mantra, Ram. Breathing in, Ram. And as you are breathing in, it creates a balance in your body. Your body becomes like a rock, steady. Purak. When a yogi fills his body with prana, Purak is to fill in. So each time you are breathing in, you are filling in the whole body with a special spiritual energy. When a yogi fills his body with prana, and by the practice of Purak, inhalation, he is able to awaken Kundalini Shakti. Then this Shakti, rising like a snake, straightens itself through the spinal column. Just as a leather jar filled with water floats to the surface of the water, so yogi, filled with pranic energy, begins to float in the air. All this is advanced ideal behind it. Each time you practice, you don't get all this experience. By the practice of intense concentration and meditation on the relation between the body and the ether element, yogi moves through the sky. Such an attainment is like a poor man receiving the position of Indrahood. However, this great attainment is considered insignificant before the prospect of self-realization. By developing the power of moving through the air, through the sky, this is not literal, this is an internal feeling. A yogi is able to meet the siddhas, illumined spirits, in the subtle planes of the universe. As the mind turns new positive, it connects itself with countless positive minds. All minds are like waves in the ocean. And each wave, as it begins to commune with the ocean, it automatically draws inspiration from countless majestic waves. But if you are not turning to the ocean, then your mind is extremely limited. By developing the power of moving through the sky, he is able to meet the siddhas in the subtle planes of the universe. His intellect becomes so purified that he is able to commune with higher beings. He receives blessings from the siddhas. He may even receive spiritual initiation or spiritual teachings from these siddhas. Though this celestial world is also illusory, yet it is not as unreal as one's dreams. The blessings and teachings received from these siddhas prove real in one's spiritual advancement. The world of the siddhas is illusory from the absolute point of view. However, it is just as real as the world of the day-to-day existence. Therefore, as long as one's personality depends upon the practical realities of the world, so long the world of Siddhas must be understood as a reality of a higher order. Though the world is illusory, yet there is order and law behind all material manifestations of divine will. A particular world system continues to exist for one kalpa. All these highly allegorical. To give you a summary, there are countless planes of consciousness. From relative consciousness, you are coming to the absolute. But in between, there are countless levels. They are called lokas. Of those lokas, the scriptures point out to 14 lokas. First lokas are divided into 14. I'm not going into details of that. These 14 are further condensed into 3 lokas. Bhurloka, Bhuvaloka, Swahaloka. Bhuloka is your physical reality. Whatever progress you make in your physical world is very little compared to progress in Bhuvarloka. Bhuvarloka is the world of your feeling, your sentiments. Swarloka is the world of your understanding, intellectual insight. Each higher loka has greater reality than the lesser loka. By the control of prana and apana, this is meant by Ha and Ta of Hatha Yoga. A yogi awakens the inner fire of Kundalini Shakti, like a serpent beaten by a stick. This Kundalini Shakti uncoils itself and ascends to the spine with a hissing sound. It's figurative. When Kundalini is awakened, 3 gunas become operative in a special way. Tamas, Rajas, Sattva, and leading to transcendence, where all the 3 gunas are transcended. It matches up with Kundalini's rising, opening up chakra after chakra. The yogi perceives a spiritual light arising from his heart center. This is all different techniques of upasana for awakening Kundalini. He meditates upon this light as a symbol of the cosmic self. In the lotus of your heart, turn to the center of the lotus and imagine there is a radiating light. That radiating light is a symbol of the cosmic self. As a result of this meditation, he is endowed with the power of clairvoyance or divine sight. He can see objects which are 1,000 miles away from him. This again is allegorical. Things are always viewed, spread out in time, space. But when you are advancing, you don't have to wait for time. You don't have to go to any space. When you go to sleep, sleep is not based on time, nor it is based on space. No matter which space you choose to sleep. In sleep, you transcend time and space. In this same way, in deeper part of your personality, time and space are transcended. Prana and apana are symbolically described as the sun, which is fire, and moon. Prana is a heat radiating energy, while apana is cooling in its effect. That's here you are giving the in relation to Ida and Pingala. When your left nostril flows, it is Ida, cooling. When right nostril flows, it is Pingala. It has a heating effect. Nature goes on balancing these prana and apana, and that brings out balance in three humors. Prana is a spirit, while apana is matter. In a profounder way, prana is turning your attention to the innermost self. That's the spirit. That's the fiery movement. Fiery movement points to that Uttarayana path, northern path. And movement to the moon points to the Chandrayana, Dakshinayana path. I'm not going into details. Prana is awakening your spirit, a realization of who am I. Apana is keeping you bonded with your body, bonded with the cycle of birth and death. Prana is dominant and active, while apana is passive. A yogi gains an insight into the harmonization of these two cosmic principles operating through the body. The whole world is constituted of prana and apana. If prana and apana are balanced, Sushumna operates. When Sushumna operates, you are in deep, deep sleep. So where is the world? World gets transcended. A yogi balances these two vital currents and follows the path of cosmic prana to the divine self. He renounces the path of pravritti. So that's the implication. Renouncing the predicament of following Dakshinayana, the path of pravritti, by pursuing the path of Uttarayana. And the scriptures give you insight into these two paths. See, Uttarayana is Agnir Jyotiah Shukla, and Dakshinayana, Dhumra. You start with smoke, mist, darkness. All these are allegorical, and we will hold off at this stage. Om. Om. Ram, 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 Ram. Om, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. Prayer for shower of Karuna, Meras, grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe सुगंधिम पुष्टिवर्धनम उर्वारुकमिव बंधनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षयमामृतात्। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम।